Hey, welcome back. My name is Dino. This video is on crisis communication tips. So these are some tips that you could think of when you're working for a corporation to ensure that your crisis communication is top notch. First, respond quickly. There's an old principle in public relations. If you don't tell your story, someone else will. So you want to respond quickly so that that gap is not addressed by someone in a way that you do not like. Um, Responding quickly has become even more acute during the social media era. In it, customers expect rapid response to issues. They don't want a delay. If there is not a response, there are a couple quick conclusions that are drawn by various constituencies. One is that the brand or company involved is guilty, and the second is that that company is not in control of its message. So, in terms of response, you want to have the ability to respond and contextualize the crisis. This helps in terms of helping your company. In terms of channels, you want to make sure that you respond on the channels where the crisis initially occurred. For example, if you're facing criticism on Facebook, post your updates and feedback on Facebook. From all of this, the longer the criticism is unanswered, the stronger and angrier audiences become. So, do it lickety split. You want to leverage supporters. You want to have and aspire to have your supporters aid your brand during a crisis. That would be the golden ideal. Authenticity is really important. So from this, responses seem more genuine when they're external, as opposed to having them done internally by the company itself. Community building really helps. You want to have the community in place before the crisis. Like if you have a crisis and you're like, oh, we better build a community to defend us, that does not work. There are a number of different ways to build focus and build community. Understand the stakeholders' needs and motivations. You want to provide your different audiences valuable content. You want to let them ask questions. You want to engage your audience, and you want to thank your customers for support. And do not have this be a one-time thing. Try to do it frequently. From all of this, you want to build your community before a crisis hits. Put victims first. Crises cause pain, suffering, and frustration to those who are hurt and damaged. In terms of your focus, you want to focus your response on the victims and their experiences, not on the company itself. In terms of the quality of the apology, you want to genuinely apologize. Any insincerity can create damage and mistrust, which is the last thing you want. A great case study for this is BP, British Petroleum. Several years ago in the Gulf of Mexico, there was a major drilling explosion, and the CEO at the time, Tony Hayward, was criticized. In terms of impact, 11 people died and 3.9 million barrels of oil leaked into the Gulf, which was just a complete disaster. Unfortunately, at the time, BP tried to downplay any damage, saying this is not our accident. And there's a quote from Hayward, which was really unfortunate, where instead of putting the victims first, he put himself first. He stated, "There's no one who wants this over more than I do. I'd like my life back," which is cold comfort to the families of the people who died and the people whose lives, say like fishermen and other people who work in the area of the Gulf that are affected. You want to acknowledge victims' pains first and address it first. On a similar tip to the last one, you want to avoid blaming. In terms of the case of British Petroleum, they unfortunately quickly blamed others for the spill, and this impacted their their PR. Again, do not blame. Do not seek to blame, even if the company itself is faultless. So say if you're getting some heat. Again, do not blame others. It's okay. Take that heat in the short term. You want to focus on the culprit. When you focus on the culprit, like if you're trying to lay blame to someone, it puts your company who's laying the blame before the victims. Try to play the long game, not the short game. Wait until the crisis begins to calm or end before you lay your blame. Again, you want to prioritize audience's feelings and how they're dealing with that unfortunate crisis situation. be transparent. Try to focus on the key information when you're communicating. The big question is, what would victims want to know? If you keep that in mind, that will help your messaging. In terms of messaging, take the victim's perspective to craft your messages. In terms of have a focus of being on transparency. Be upfront. Do not plead ignorance, even if negative information, because eventually there are going to be leaks if you're not being transparent. In terms of key info, news will eventually leak. Transparency helps to control the message. And some hidden information makes the company look guiltier. What if? This is something that companies do that unfortunately they often do not budget time for. A question that should be done for brainstorming is, what if something went wrong to the company? What might that look like? You want to come up and brainstorm different crisis scenarios where you map out responses to these scenarios to improve the company's reaction. You want to align the company with the scenario. When you're brainstorming, find situations that align with your product, service, and industry with high likelihood and impact of crisis. So if it's low likelihood of the crisis happening, you can skip that. If it's going to be minimal impact, skip that. Try to, again, focus on high likelihood and high impact. For example, there's a company here, Samsung. If you're selling a device, if you're any major tech vendor that creates products, a product recall happens all the time, unfortunately. And also thinking about potential lawsuits that could happen to the company, as well as any negative press that could brew up against the company. From this, what if scenarios show that the company is proactive and makes you think proactively and early on about any potential crises that could happen. Finally, message consistently. You want to be cohesive. You want to unite the company so it has company-wide messaging that's not different depending on the department that might be contacted. You want to foster the idea of having internal ambassadors and have your employees act as ambassadors, because even when they're not in the company itself, say they're in their alone free time, they may be approached about this and they can be your best ambassadors. It's smart to think about having a one-page sheet. We'll share this one page across the organization to outline departmental crisis actions so that everyone's on the same page. From this, messaging should not go out from just one department. It should be a company-wide response. That is Crisis Communication Tips. My name is Dino. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to like this video. Please feel free to comment on any of the tips. Did you find any of them helpful? Were there any ones you might want to add? And finally, if you like this type of content, please feel free to subscribe to this channel for similar content. As always, thanks for watching.